So with the victory, the Atlanta Braves won, so the Nationals maintain the 11.5 game lead in the East. The Mets are 12 games back. The Marlins started the day 12 back. They won their game, so they remain right there. Dan Laing is sitting in for Phil Wood with Nationals Talk Live. He'll take your phone calls at 800-636-1067, 800-636-1067.
And welcome back to Nats Talk Live. Dan Laing filling in for Phil Wood this evening as the Nationals tonight pick up another win as they beat the Baltimore Orioles in interleague play in the Beltway Series 6-1. So the Beltway Series tied up at 2 games apiece this year. The Nationals winning both games here in Washington and dropping both games up in the Charm City. The Nationals out-hitting the Orioles tonight 11-4, and Joe Ross pitching spectacularly as he grabs his 3rd win of the season and a career-high 12 strikeouts for him. Let's roll out to Carlos, who is giving us a buzz from Alexandria. Carlos, you're on Nats Talk Live. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. I want to talk to you about Blake Treinen a little bit. I've seen him 4 times this year now in person, and it's definitely somebody's picked up his pace or something. He just looked a lot more into the ballgame tonight, and his pace seemed to pick up. And I'm been taking bets from anybody, all my friends, saying that he's going to get meaningful outs for this team in October, and I'd be interested in your take on it.
Well, I think so. I mean, obviously, you know, the franchise, the team as a whole, had confidence in him at the beginning of the season to put him in the closer's role. He obviously had, you know, a pretty good amount of hiccups in that spot, and Coda now, you know, working in that role. But Blake is a guy that, you know, I'm with you in the sense that I think his confidence is starting to come back. I think he's a guy that, you know, his last outing was against Oakland, went a couple of innings, allowed a run, and he definitely has shown signs of pitching really, really well. And that's why the Nationals, as an organization, you know, really like what they see in him, have the confidence in him. It's just a matter of getting everyone in their correct role, and you know, it's a matter of building up that confidence spot. And I think that as that happens, and as Blake is able to have a few really good outings and, you know, be able to build up on that confidence, I don't see any reason why you'd be wrong. I think, you know, he's a guy that has the stuff, and, you know, there's obviously people within the organization that think that based on the role that he had. All right, let's see. Anthony is next. Anthony.
Hey, Dan, how's it going?
Pretty good, pretty good. How are you?
Good. Big win for the Nats in the Beltway Series tonight. Just a couple of quick questions. When you take a look at teams like the Nationals and the Houston Astros, for instance, I grew up an Astros fan myself. Both have 12-game double-digit leads in their division. And, you know, we're only in June right now, 3.5 months or so or more of baseball to play. What is your thoughts on the complacency factor with teams with the double-digit leads in their division? Long season to go, but it looks like barring any catastrophe, which you never know could happen, that both of those teams will likely win the division and be in the playoffs. And a quick second question for you, because I'm a South Florida guy, went to college down there. Michael Taylor, you know, finally getting a chance here, I guess, to shine in the outfield, you know, from Fort Lauderdale. What are your thoughts on him taking over?
Just curious, where'd you go to school?
University of Miami.
Oh, very nice, very nice. So did I. So nice, couple of Hurricane alums here. Very nice.
How about that?
Yeah. You sit there and you look at the whole complacency factor. For me, I don't think that this is a team that's going to be complacent at all. First of all, you look at the organization, and an organization that, you know, since they've been back here in Washington, have played really well and have been able to pick up the East Division 4 times now. And, you know, it's an organization that I don't see falling back at all, because you have Dusty Baker, who's a veteran manager who wants to win. He wants the ring. He just recently got his 1800th career win as a manager. You have some players that are playing for spots next year and for the rest of this year. One of the guys you mentioned, Michael A. Taylor, is one of those guys that, for me, as he continues to, you know, get that role and continue to expand on it, he's a guy that has been looking good and been doing everything the Nationals have asked of him, and that is hold down the role since he got it from the unfortunate injury to Adam Eaton. But it's the 3rd time that Michael A. has gotten a chance to take the job in center field due to injuries. In the past, to Ben Revere and Denard Spann, and now, unfortunately, to Adam Eaton, who was off to a great start before Michael A. got in there. But Michael A. Taylor, you look at his OPS, it's in the top half of center fielders in baseball. So that's a pretty good spot to have a guy that's, to come into that role and play that well. So you have him that is really playing and trying to get it done. You have a lot of young players on this team that want to get a ring. You have veterans that want to get their first ring. And I think that there is some spot that the Nationals have not been able to get out of that first round of the playoffs. And I think that they're a team that is not going to, let up, because it's hard in baseball to turn it on and turn it off. It's a long marathon. It's a 162-game season. But for me, when I sit there and look at how this whole thing pans out, it's a thing that you can't turn it on and off. And you're not going to see a bunch of pieces, sit out for a long time. I heard someone the other day talking about, some of these teams that have large leads, it's fine. They'll come back to the mean because they're going to put a lot of their rookies and, when rosters expand later in the year. I mean, we're getting way, way ahead of ourselves because we're just in June. But, you mentioned the Astros. You look at these two teams, double-digit leads, and, every team has some type of a spot that they can improve on. For the Nationals, obviously, it's the bullpen, and Mike Rizzo has said that's something that he's going to look at, seeing about maybe improving as the season progresses and as the trade deadline starts to approach. You look at the Astros; they may need some starting depth, and Lance McCullers had a great start tonight, but Dallas Keuchel just went on the disabled list for a second time this season, and they might need some starting depth. So they might need to go out and get a starter. You mentioned Michael A. Taylor as a whole, and he's a guy that has really come in, and he has, I think, taken a lot of pressure off Mike Rizzo in the sense of Mike needing to go out and get a center fielder. Because there was some talk that when Eaton went down, oh my goodness, what are the Nationals going to do? They went out and specifically got Adam Eaton to fill that role. Well, now he goes down, and now the Nationals are going to have to go out and get somebody, and I think that Michael A. Taylor's done a pretty good job in filling in for that and maybe taking that off of Mike Rizzo's plate. Well, if you want to get on board and give us a call, you can do so by dialing 1-800-636-1067. Again, that's 1-800-636-1067. As Nats Talk Live continues from Nationals Park, the Nationals beating the Orioles tonight in the Beltway Series 6-1. Back after And welcome back to Nationals Park as the Nationals tonight grab yet another win as they continue to rule the National League, and the Nationals beating the Baltimore Orioles tonight in the Beltway Series 6-1. Joe Ross getting the win, his third of the season, and he was dominant, and he was dominant pretty much from the get-go. Had that slider rocking and rolling, and really worked on that arm slot. It would seem that was one of the keys. I know that was one of the things that they had talked about that he had been struggling with in his previous two outings where he really struggled, and has battled back and has looked pretty good tonight, and went 7 1/3, allowed the 1 run on 4 hits to strike out the 12 and get the win. And keep in mind that the Nationals were able to get the 6 runs tonight without Ryan Zimmerman, Anthony Rendon, or Daniel Murphy, all of them getting the night off in front of the Texas Rangers series, which opens up here at Nationals Park tomorrow. I want to take a look at the All-Star game and the voting and how impressive it is that Ryan Zimmerman, of course, we all know what a good season he's had, and he trailed the position by 94,000 votes last week. When this week's votes came out, Zim was atop. He had passed Anthony Rizzo of the Chicago Cubs, 13,000 more for Zim now than Rizzo. So keep the voting going. Of course, the Daniel Murphy leads the second baseman of the National League. Anthony Rendon is 4th among National League third basemen. Bryce Harper leads National League outfielders by a pretty large spot, by almost 500,000 over Charlie Blackmon. And All-Star Game voting continues online, MLB.com, as well as all the other devices and all that stuff through June 29th. So go ahead and vote for your favorite National to take part in the All-Star Game, which is in Miami this year and is going to be a pretty exciting time. So the Nationals tonight pick up a win over the Orioles, an impressive night for Trey Turner as he was able to reach base 4 times tonight, He had 3 singles. He had a 4-pitch walk to lead off the Nationals offense in the bottom of the first inning as part of a 41-pitch first frame for Alec Asher. And interestingly enough, he's a guy that coming into tonight, Asher had walked only 8 over 37 and a third innings. And tonight he ended up walking 4 over just 4 innings. Now, one of those was an intentional walk, but he did not have the control that he has had in his previous outings. He struggled tonight. Of course, you credit the Nationals some for that as well, as the Nationals were able to pick up a win tonight in a game that had a nice crowd, almost 38,000 here in attendance at Nationals Park, keeping in mind that this was a game that was not to be played tonight initially. This is a makeup game from May 11th from a postponement, and it really has created havoc for both teams. You look at the Nationals schedule, and the Nationals are going to be in the midst of 37 games with only one off day mixed in. So lots of baseball to be played for the Nationals, and the Orioles are in the midst of 20 consecutive days with a baseball game. So neither team really wanted this day taken away, but Mother Nature took it away on May 11th, and this is how everything panned out. So the Nationals, good news for them. They pick up the win tonight in beating the Orioles 6-1. We'll take another timeout. When we continue, we'll hear from Nationals manager Dusty Baker. The Major League Scoreboard is also to continue, and your calls, 1-800-636-1067, 1-800-636-1067, as Nats Talk Live continues from Nationals Park. The Nationals picking up a win over the Orioles tonight, 6-1. Joe Ross had a very good outing, an effective campaign for him tonight as he improves to 3-2. Career-high 12 strikeouts for Joe over 7 1/3 innings on 4 hits. Dusty Baker just met with the media and was asked what really stood out for him about Ross.
Probably his command. He was throwing his fastball down the way, followed by a slider in the same spot down the way, and elevating when necessary. And he was calm, and that's what stood out.
Considering the road trip to come back, no rest, how impressed are you just with the overall effort and performance of the team?
Well, I'm very impressed because this team comes to play and they don't, they don't complain. They don't complain about anything, which is what I like. Because I really don't like complainers. My dad didn't like complainers. So, these guys, they realize, the job at hand, and they're doing it.
No complaining from the Nationals, 38-21 on the season now here this evening. And Dusty meeting, by the way, with the media in an auxiliary locker room, not in the normal press conference area that he meets with the media before and after games, because the team is getting ready for the draft, which begins on Monday. So they take over the area that we normally meet with Dusty before and after games, and they bring in all the scouts and the computers, and it's pretty interesting to see how everything's set up there. The Nationals, in case you're wondering, on Monday have the 25th overall pick. And, look, Joe Ross tonight, the starting pitcher for the Nationals, was a 25th round selection, and that was back in 25th overall selection in 2011. And Mike Trout was the 25th overall selection in 2009. So there are some picks in that late in the draft that can be pretty exciting. Christian Arroyo, who is a top prospect in the Giants organization, he is a guy that also is a 25th overall pick in the past, as was Chuck Knobloch and Ed Sprague. So the Nationals have the 25th overall selection in the draft, which begins on Monday. We'll take a timeout, and when we continue on Nats Talk Live, we'll take a look around the big league scoreboard. Again tonight, the Nationals over the Orioles 6-1 in the lone interleague game. We'll take a look at the rest of the scores as Nats Talk Live continues. And welcome back here to Nats Park, where the Nationals tonight dispose of the Baltimore Orioles 6-1 in the lone interleague contest of the night, as Joe Ross gets the win, a career-high 12 strikeouts for him. Let's take a peek at the rest of the big league scoreboard, and let's begin with some games that are still ongoing. The Colorado Rockies are looking for their 5th consecutive win. The Rockies right now lead the Chicago Cubs by a count of 4-1. They're in the bottom of the 9th inning of that one, in a game that Tyler Chatwood started against John Lester. How about the Houston Astros? We talked about them a little bit earlier on the show. Atop the AL West, leading off the day today, but a 12-game lead over the Seattle Mariners. The Stros currently leading the Kansas City Royals 6-1. Lance McCullers at one point throwing a no-hitter deep into the game. McCullers is going to be key for that Astros squad because Dallas Keuchel earlier today was placed back on the disabled list for the second time this year, as Keuchel had to be scratched from his start at the last minute yesterday and again was placed on the DL today. The Minnesota Twins, they have surprised a lot of folks this season with their play as they are perched atop the American League Central. A narrow one-game lead over the Cleveland Indians entering play today, while the Twinkies and Seattle Mariners, who are looking for their sixth straight win, they're currently in the top of the third. The Twins and Mariners are scoreless. Finals from earlier today, Cincinnati beat St. Louis by a count of 4-2. This as the Reds pick up their fourth consecutive win, handing the Cardinals their seventh straight loss. What a disappointing season it has been for the Cardinals. The LA Angels dominating the Detroit Tigers 11-4. In 10, San Francisco gets past Milwaukee 9-5. Miami stops Pittsburgh 7-1. Arizona pounds San Diego 15-3. Earlier today, I was looking at run differential. San Diego has given up over 100 more runs than they have scored. Thus, they're in the basement in the National League West. Elsewhere, the New York Yankees beat Boston tonight 9-1. The Yankees have now opened up a 3-game lead in the AL East over the Red Sox, who had David Price on the bump tonight against Michael Pineda. And Tampa Bay down to the Chicago White Sox 7-5. Atlanta tops Philadelphia 3-1. So that's your look around the big league scoreboard. And again, here this evening in Washington at Nationals Park, the Nationals beating the Baltimore Orioles 6-1. Joe Ross improving to 3-2 as he strikes out a career high 12. As Alec Asher suffers the loss, falling to 2-4, as almost 38,000 fans came in to the ballpark tonight, keeping in mind the Nationals did it all without Ryan Zimmerman, Anthony Rendon, or Daniel Murphy in the starting lineup. So that sets up the series against the Texas Rangers, which begins tomorrow night right here at Nationals Park with Nats on Deck, which comes your way at 6:30 with Charlie and Dave in front of the start from Tanner Roark. It'll be a pretty exciting game for Roark. It's his bobblehead day. Also, Roark was a 25th round selection of the Rangers back in the 2008 draft and has faced his original club just once before. Back in June of 2004, he allowed one earned run over 7 innings on 7 hits while striking out 4. He'll get a chance to do that again tomorrow night as he goes up against Andrew Cashner, a guy that the Nationals have seen a few times. Cashner previously pitching for the San Diego Padres and Miami Marlins. So tomorrow's first pitch is 7:05. Keeping in mind that over the weekend, the schedule's been tinkered with just a bit as far as the normal schedule times. Saturday is a 12:05 start, an early start because the Nats Dream Foundation Gala is set for Saturday night. So again, Saturday afternoon, 12:05, right here at Nats Park for Game 2. And then Sunday's game will be a 4:05 first pitch in what could be another milestone for Max Scherzer. He is currently 5 strikeouts shy of the 2,000 strikeout mark. He's set to get the nod on Sunday against the Rangers and a pitcher that has yet to be named. Well, that will do it for all of us that have set up this broadcast. For engineer Jack Hinks here at the ballpark, and for Tim Shovers back in the studio, I'm Dan Laing. Phil Wood will be back with you tomorrow. Again, the Nationals beat the Orioles 6-1. Good night, everybody.